Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to talk about more Bitcoin ASICs being made here in the US. If you guys remember back in December, Bitmain did announce that they were going to start a facility here. Now there's more to it. They did announce actually more today that they are actually going to also build a headquarters here in the US. So it's going to be a little bit more than what we initially expected, as well as others, right? So also Canaan, Whatsminer have made similar announcements. We'll go through it as well as talk about a big change with the de minimis exemptions for tariffs, for which a lot of these ASIC resellers tend to use. We did get more clarification today. There was something big that was signed today. We're going to talk about it, talk about the effective dates. Okay. If that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So if you guys remember back in December, Bitmain did announce that they were going to start producing certain ASICs here. I think it was the S21 Pro. And it's now going to be a little bit more to it. Okay, so let's get right to the article. Bitmain plans to open U.S. production facility by end of Q3 amid policy shifts, and this is coming from Bloomberg. Mining hardware firm Bitmain told Bloomberg that it plans to launch a new production line in Texas or Florida by the end of the third quarter. It intends to hire 250 local employees initially for production and on-site maintenance. So this isn't just a little thing. This is going to be more of a permanent solution. Initially, it just seemed like maybe they were going to just fab something up real quick, just more as a warehouse kind of thing, or like last minute production just to kind of avoid some of these tariffs. But now with everything going on, it does seem to be a little bit more serious. Okay, let's continue reading down. Irene Gao, global business chief of Bitmain, stated in an interview with Bloomberg that the company plans to launch a new headquarters and production line in Texas or Florida by the end of the third quarter. Manufacturing is expected to begin in early 2026 and reach full capacity by year end. Okay, so again, like we mentioned, it's not just another line of manufacturers, it's also a headquarters. It's going to be something a little bit more elaborate because again, they also mentioned they're going to hire 250 employees. So getting kind of serious, right? It's kind of interesting there. The two options they listed are Texas or Florida. Me being in Florida, it would be nice if it was in Florida. It'd be nice to be able to go down and actually pick up your ASIC. Imagine that. But realistically, it's just going to make more sense for it to be in Texas just because, again, that's where a lot of the big clientele is, right? That's where a lot of the larger firms, the larger mining companies are all, or the majority are based out in Texas. Crypto mining is increasingly viewed as a strategic sector alongside semiconductors and energy as the U.S. prioritizes reshoring critical technologies. The company intends to hire 250 local employees, initially for both production and on-site maintenance roles, according to Gao. While U.S. labor costs exceed those in other countries, the business case remains solid, especially given potential tariff uncertainties, Gao said. Right, so the potential benefits here are, number one, just avoiding all of the tariffs, right? Number two, kind of a bigger thing for me is on-site maintenance, right? We do have a few contractors here. They do have 3 or 4 locations across the U.S., but if they were to actually have Bitmain in-house people at their own facility, that would be a much bigger deal than these contractors that are hired elsewhere, right? Especially if it's a larger type thing, that would be great. Although realistically, I do kind of see this being more as a setup for, again, for these larger clients, right? Realistically, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing is headquartered in Texas and it's more specifically just essentially built for them, right? I wouldn't even be too optimistic about it being made available for us plebs, just sending our one little unit. Realistically, it's probably going to be more something more in line for them because, again, those are their biggest clients. They are putting in crazy orders that's just expanding, expanding, and expanding, and it's just getting crazier, right? But again, there could be benefits here just because, again, all of the uncertainty with ordering overseas, the tariffs, which is going to be something that's ongoing, right? We've seen these deadlines come and go. There's going to be another deadline August 1st. He's saying he's not going to extend it. Yet there's a 90-day pause that was just signed again with China, right? And as we've seen, a lot of these other countries have talked about them already being in talks with the U.S. regarding their tariffs, but they're not expecting any finality until way down the road, right? So again, we're going to keep seeing these things. And again, if something happens from one of those countries, even though a deal was finalized, he got pissed off and here's another 25%, right? It's just going to be that way, right? There's going to be no certainty. So this is why we're seeing this from them, right? And again, hopefully it would be good if it is big and it is available to everybody, but again, I just wouldn't be surprised if it's catered to specifically their bigger clients, right? Just because again, it's crazy the amount that these guys put in, these orders, and the scale a lot of these farms. It's crazy. If you guys haven't seen this thing with Hut 8's freaking data center, they opened up their Vega data center. It's insane, right? Spanning the equivalent of 5 football fields and covering 162,000 square feet, Vega's powered by 205 megawatts of nameplate energy capacity, and at full energization will support up to 15 exahash per second. It's crazy, or nearly 2% of the current global Bitcoin network hash rate. Insane. Insane. The scale of this thing, just insane how fast they did it. The technology, again, this is all those servers. It's all those. They have the model listed here, the U3 S21 EXPH, which was those first Hydro ones we see. It's those 860 terahash units. Again, this is all that's in there, and it's rows and rows in there. These are all the cooling towers. Insane setup, and the density is just insane in comparison to like what it would take to do this with air-cooled units, right? It's just insane what they're able to do with these things. So we can see how many they're housing in there. The site will host up to 17,000 of those things, which is just mind-blowing, right? So if you think of how much daily revenue those things would bring in, again, 17,000, over 17,000 of them. Each one in daily revenue brings in about $55, right? Let's just, for shits and giggles, let's look at how much they would bring in on the daily. So 17,000, it's over it, but again, we're just roughing it. 17 multiplied by the $56.32 a day in daily revenue. $957,000 in daily revenue from that facility. Daily. That's how much they're bringing in per freaking day, right? Obviously, they're going to have massive electric costs. But I mean, bro, that's damn near, what, like over 9 Bitcoin per day, every day. Insane. Beyond ridiculous, right? So again, just a reminder, if you guys wanting to get BTC ASICs, that's what you're competing against. So it's not only Bitmain though, right? We've been seeing the news with Bitmain. We've also seen news of these other smaller manufacturers also starting to have more distribution here in the US. We have seen it also with some of the resellers. Also, seemed like a lot of them were sharing a distribution center here, but also more than that, we're just seeing just other manufacturers, right? So it's not just them, MicroBT, which is Whatsminers, as well as Canaan. So let's go through this article real quick. Chinese Bitcoin ASIC makers to begin U.S. production amid tariff pressure. Bitmain, Canaan, and MicroBT producing over 99% of global Bitcoin mining ASICs. Like, yeah, just those three essentially run it. Are launching U.S.-based production units in response to tariffs. And this is pretty crazy. I didn't realize how much of a stranglehold Bitmain has over the competition. An April study by the University of Cambridge shows that Bitmain is responsible for 82% of Bitcoin ASIC production. MicroBT is only 15%. I didn't realize it was that little. And Canaan about 2%, giving the three companies a combined 99% share of the global market, which is pretty insane, right? The digital mining hardware market exhibits an, not even sure how to pronounce that structure, with the top three manufacturers, Bitmain, MicroBT, and Canaan, commanding over 99% market share, the study reads. And again, it's just highlighting that it's not just Bitmain, right? These other manufacturers are also doing the same, because again, I mean, Trump's going to be in office for the next 3.5 years. They are seeing the signs that obviously it's not going to end here anytime soon, so it just kind of makes sense, especially if there's any incentive for them to do so, right? As we do know, Trump's sons are also getting into Bitcoin mining. So don't be surprised if there's talks behind the scenes with them also, and this is part of the reasoning behind it, right? And also, Trump made it loud and clear that he also wants the U.S. to be the mining capital of the world for Bitcoin, right? So again, it kind of makes sense for them to continue to expand just because the U.S. is such a large market, right? It's not the only market though, right? It's also big in the Middle East. That's why Bitmain has also this past couple of years actually been really big over there. They've been hosting WDMSs over there, coinciding with even the ones in the US, right? Just because again, Any place that has a lot of infrastructure, cheap energy, those are going to be big targets. Okay, so at this point, if they do offer these manufacturers incentives to be here, again, it's only beneficial, right? Especially if that is the goal. If we do want to become like the energy capital of the world, this is how we get there. Okay. And another article touching in line more with Canaan's strategic shift to U.S. manufacturing and its implications for Bitcoin mining. Canaan exits underperforming AI semiconductor business to focus on U.S. Bitcoin mining hardware and self-mining operations. If any of you guys remember those articles we covered back a while ago, Bitmain also has their AI chips. It was Softgo. If you guys remember, there's a lot of controversy with one of the chips on some of the control boards regarding them, but they also have an AI ASIC sector as well. Canaan did as well. We did mention it in one of those videos. So it looks like they are exiting there, and they are going just harder, doubling down into Bitcoin mining hardware, which, as we've seen, they've definitely had a resurgence this past year, year and a half, especially with these at-home ASICs, right? Those little, forget the name of them, but the little at-home little lottery things kind of really picked things up for them, right? It definitely brought their name out, and then currently with the Avalon Q, that thing is extremely popular, right? So it's a very popular segment that's essentially been untouched with Bitcoin, right? Especially these like more mid-level things. We are starting to see more competition though, but they're kind of leading the way, and in terms of quality, they are also still leading the way. So they're definitely seeing the money and potential there. Strategic shifts align with U.S. market demand for energy efficient, domestically produced mining infrastructure amid supply chain risks. So let's go through some of the highlights. The company's recent contract to supply 6,840 Avalon A15 Pro miners to Cipher Mining for deployment in the Black Pro facility is a testament to the demand for U.S. manufactured hardware. Canaan's U.S. production of the Avalon A15 Pro, a machine already deployed in the U.S. and Malaysia, demonstrates how companies can hedge against these risks while meeting customer demand for made in America solutions. And again, it's just an excellent way for them to avoid all the crap with all the tariffs, right? Which is not just China, it's literally dealing with every country in the world, right? So initially that was the thought, like, okay, they're going to tariff China, but then they're just going to shift over to Malaysia. Well, Malaysia is also getting tariffed. Everybody's getting tariffed, right? So realistically, if the U.S. is a big market for you, it's going to make sense for them to actually move production here, right? Does that mean that they're going to make at the chip level here? No, most likely everything's going to be sourced from over there. They'll ship the boards here. Maybe they'll be assembled here. We don't know the full extent of it. It's hard to say, right? Because we know like TSMC is making plants and such here. Maybe eventually down the road it can get to a point where it is fully in the U.S., right? Which would be pretty insane. And then it's MicroBT also, right? Which is Whatsminer, made in the USA, supported in the USA with local Whatsminer manufacturing and repair centers. MicroBT ensures tariff-free mining rigs, faster delivery, and superior service. We're setting new standards for quality and reliability with US-based facilities. Okay, so that's literally 99% of the ASIC manufacturers for Bitcoin are moving production to here in the US, right? Which is a pretty big deal, and it's something that's gonna potentially change things, especially on the reseller front. Imagine being able to get it directly from the manufacturer, not having to deal with these resellers, not having to deal with the extreme shipping, being able to get it shipped from here within the US, have your warranty done through the US, because again, you're purchasing it from here in-house, right? Meaning what? Also more consumer protection, because again, currently as is, it's essentially the Wild West. Like, yes, so they come with a certain warranty, but I mean, it's extremely limited, right? You can get shitted on extremely quickly. We've seen, right? We've seen many, many issues with a lot of you guys having issues with even just within that warranty phase, sending the unit back and that unit getting junked from Bitmain and you just getting asked out. What the hell kind of policy is that? They can get away with it though because they're not based in the US. They're not, or buying the crap overseas. It's going to change things if it's made here, we purchased it here, there's repair centers here, there's going to be more accountability on that front, right? Is that something they're going to like? We're going to have to wait and see how it plays out, right? But, I mean, to me, those are the benefits I do potentially see here, right? Hopefully they do get better, hopefully quality gets better. And then just more repair centers, right? Definitely, that's one thing that's definitely been a big hindrance is dealing with those repairs, right? Getting them repaired. With Bitmain, it's a little bit better just because there are more repair centers, but as these other manufacturers also continue to have more facilities here, have more repair centers here, it's just better overall, right? And again, that's just going to give more confidence with these ASICs because again, currently it's still really like a black market with ASICs. Okay, it's extremely risky. Like I know we see all these videos and I've done quite a few videos talking about all the risk, and it's a lot of risk. It's not something like you just buy it and yeah, it's definitely gonna last you 2 years. No, it's extremely risky, but when we see moves like this does give more potential confidence, right? Maybe more quality, more consumer protections, because again, currently we're buying these things with crypto and it's kind of in as it is, right? So we're going to see how it plays out. We're going to see kind of what the extent of things are, right? Initially, it just seemed like it was going to be a warehouse thing, maybe a limited run with a few production lines just temporarily while they figure out the tariff thing. But I think they're kind of seeing that it's not going to be a temporary thing, right? That realistically, they're going to invest more in the US. They're going to actually have actual facilities, actual employees, and actual headquarters coming from Bitmain. That's pretty big, right? As far as what else? Oh, we did have another big thing coming, and this is regarding de minimis, which was essentially covered back in like April, May. They did kind of give a deadline, which kind of never really happened. Again, the tariff situation here has been all over the place. It's extremely confusing, and even with this, it is giving a date, but I mean, it's still very all over, right? Even just talking from some of you guys, like some of you guys have purchased full-size ASICs and paid 0 tariffs. Other people have been hit with anywhere ranging from like 150 bucks, which was just a random flat fee, to paying 35% to paying 55%. It's been extremely inconsistent, and that's why it's just been such a headache with ordering just because of the lack of consistency, right? It's literally luck of the draw as to what happens and how you argue it, how you fight it, which realistically, that's been the thing, is that people who have been getting tariffed, you have to fight it and see what judgment they end up with, and that's kind of what you're stuck with, right? Again, sometimes it's lucky, sometimes people have nothing. It's just extremely inconsistent to the point where I wouldn't even deal with it right now, right? I would rather order from US inventory, as we've seen a lot of these resellers have been able to get stock. I would pay the premium just to avoid the freaking headache of your shipment getting stuck in customs or getting misrepresented, because I mean that's happened to a lot of us. It's happened to me personally, and the argument process is horrible. It's like a take it or leave it thing, right? It's a freaking shit show. But now it does seem like they are fully going to close de minimis. They kind of said they were, but they really didn't. But they did just sign another executive order specifically outlining it, right? So this is actually done today. So this is a recent one. This is not a repeat of the previous one. Today, President Donald J. Trump signed an executive order suspending duty-free de minimis treatment for low-value shipments, closing the catastrophic loophole used to, amongst other things, evade tariffs and funnel deadly synthetic opioids, as well as other unsafe or below-market products that harm American workers and businesses into the U.S. Effective August 29th, imported goods sent through means other than the International Postal Network that are valued at or under $800 and that would otherwise qualify for the de minimis exemption will be subject to all applicable duties. President Trump is putting an end to the proliferation of shippers worldwide that, amongst other things, deceptively exploit de minimis privilege in an effort to evade duties, inspection, and U.S. law, which is something a lot of the resellers have done in the past, right? Between 2015 and 2024, the volume of de minimis shipments entering the U.S. increased from 134 million shipments to over 1.36 billion shipments. On average, CBP processes over 4 million de minimis shipments into the U.S. each freaking day, right? Which is pretty insane, right? And a lot of it just comes from people ordering things on Temu and Wish.com and those kind of things, or those cheap eBay purchases. It's just insane, right? So it's definitely going to change things. It's definitely going to be a big hindrance for them. President Trump is delivering on his promise to put an end to the big scam of de minimis shipments, killing Americans and hurting U.S. businesses. Right? So, Again, August 29th is the deadline. And again, does that mean any certainty? It means you're going to get hit with something, right? There's definitely not going to be those people who get hit with zero. You're going to get hit with something. It's really going to be dependent on what they label it as, what it's shipped as, and what it gets hit as, right? So again, it's still going to be all over the place. There's still not going to be any consistency with it. It's just immensely confusing, especially with all these countries having specific things. Is just still a freaking shit show, right? Which is the biggest reason that these manufacturers are all, to avoid all of that, are just going to start producing things here, right? Hopefully we do see a greater inventory of US stock from a lot of these. We have seen certain stores from the beginning, like Altair Tech was one of the few, even prior to all this mess, they did actually have in-house inventory here in the US, which has proven to be extremely beneficial with everything going on, as well as some of these other resellers during times, right? Typically they've been selling pretty quickly just because, again, it's a lot easier to pay a $500 to $800 premium to not have to worry about the fact of getting hit with like a 30% tariff. And imagine like on an L9, if it's like 9 grand and you're getting hit with another 30% on top of that, sucks, right? And imagine that's on a single order. Imagine ordering a dozen of those things and getting hit with that tariff, right? It's definitely not a good look. And realistically, with these other manufacturers kind of coming into the US, it can give an advantage. It can potentially give more confidence, right? I mean, that's one thing that we've said from the beginning. Buying any ASICs, it's borderline a degen play, right? Especially with a lot of these, even like Bitcoin ASICs and such, because it's only beneficial if you're able to mine on the thing long term. But again, if you have warranty issues starting right when it's out of warranty at, let's say, month number 8, it's not going to work out, right? But again, it's like a luck of the draw thing. Some people get super lucky and they have a freaking S9 that's still mining to this day, freaking 8 years later, and other people's have a dud from day one. People get a DOA unit, they try to return it, it goes back to Bitmain for warranty, and then Bitmain just shelves it as being junk, and you get asked out, right? Which is the most ridiculous thing that can happen, and yet it does happen, right? Unfortunately, there is going to be anywhere from a 1 to 5% of you guys, of people who order, that are going to get stuck with duds, right? It's just the name of the game, which is a shitty thing to say. And again, it's because we're buying these things overseas. And again, once they're being produced here, there's headquarters here, there's more accountability here, could potentially change things, right? So it's a step in the right direction. It's still going to be a while. Realistically, maybe by next cycle, things could be in full swing if they continue, right? We're going to have to wait and see how it plays out. But let me know in the comments, guys. What do you guys think of this? Is this something that's a good thing, or are you just like over mining? Let me know in the comments. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'm out.